Hi everybody, this is Marr here. Before I begin, if you hear rattling noises, that's just the dishwasher, so don't panic. It's been full for several months, so it needed to get washed. But anyway, today you're about to watch another lost episode of the Marr Show. I talked a little bit about this back in my Banjo-Kazooie games on the Game Boy Advance, and this episode was filmed before the Nintendo Switch launched back in March of 2017. And this episode is way different compared to the past Marr Show episodes. At the time, I didn't really know what to really do with the Marr Show. I didn't know if I wanted to cancel it or completely reboot it or something. I was going through some weird phases with the Marr Show at this point. And as you can see in the episode, I completely did like an overhaul for the series with a brand new intro, doing it in a different direction, kind of similar to like AlphaOmegaSin or Happy Console Gamer, who were major inspirations for helping me shape the Marr Show to how I wanted to be a few years later. I didn't release it as I thought the change was a bit too drastic, or maybe it was a bit too much, especially with the new intro. Even though I did really hard at that intro, I still like it, but I still prefer the classic intro using Family Jewel's guitar cover of the DuckTales theme. Just keep in mind, this was filmed back in February of 2017, so many of the games that I do mention, like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Mario Odyssey, were not even out yet. So yeah, have fun. This is the Marr Show episode on the video games that I was majorly hyped for. Enjoy! Yes, face it, when a new game comes out, we all get super excited. But what happens when you get so hyped for a game that it either changes your mentality of that game from being, oh my gosh, this game is amazing, this is exactly what I wanted for, to, I was incredibly disappointed and it kind of made my experience very sour. So what games was I extremely hyped about that may have different to me? Well, just open that save file. Oh! Hey everybody, this is Marr here, and welcome to this kind of first edition of a rebooted style for the Marr Show. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it, but enough about intros, let's just get to the topic. New games come out on a very fast basis, like seriously, every week there's always a new title coming out that people are looking forward to play. And there are some games that we have to wait weeks to even months to even years practically for people to enjoy playing. And sometimes it can be good because you take a look at a game and it's like, oh, that game looks pretty cool, I'm pretty excited. However, there's always that one game, or some games for that matter, that you have a bit too much hype for. There's a certain game out there that always comes out that you're like, oh my gosh, I need this game. It will be the greatest game of all time. And time just seems to go slower and slower as that day comes. And when you finally get that game, one of two things will happen. One is like, this game is all I ever wanted and even more. This is like the greatest game ever made. Or two, well, that was... Remind me again, why was I so hyped for that game? Everyone has this experience, and this has happened to me so many times. Whether it be a lot of positive experiences for me, but there's always been a few downs where I get majorly hyped for a game, and then my experience just changed, either a positive way or in a negative way. And even to this day, there are still games that I'm just majorly hyped for, that I'm thinking about every day, waiting for that game to come out. Mostly Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Crash Bandicoot the Insane Trilogy, Cuphead, and lately Fire Emblem Echoes, because I want to play more Fire Emblem games, and it looks a lot of fun. And in the comment section below, you know what type of games that you were majorly hyped for, that either exceeded your expectations, or you were majorly disappointed with. I mean, we all come across those titles that we were super excited for, that was in our conscious, in it every day, and just left an impact in our lives, whether good or bad. So let's go ahead and start sharing some stories. And the first game that I can instantly think of that I was majorly hyped for was Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, granted, compared to my brother, I may not be the biggest Kingdom Hearts fan. Holy crap, that is one shiny cover. I love the first game. In fact, it's probably one of the most important games to me as a gamer. And for so long, we have been waiting for years for news of a Kingdom Hearts 2. Me and my brother would constantly ask our friends about it, look up online stuff, and even on X-Play and like whenever G4 was good, we would always constantly watch X-Play, cheats, and other shows to see if there was like any news of Kingdom Hearts 2. We eventually got a Kingdom Hearts game, which was Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, but it wasn't exactly the sequel we wanted. We wanted a proper second game that lived up to the expectations of the first one on PS2 and improved everything about it in story, gameplay, visuals, you name it. And did it deliver? Yeah, it did. I remember me and Chris playing this game all the time on the PS2, and it was funny too because mother, I was like, what, 12 back then, and he was, I don't know how old he was. She actually bought 2 copies for the game, one for me and one for Chris, even though there was multiple save files, so it was kind of odd at the time, but she's not a huge information person about gaming, and we got 2 copies, so in case one of us lose one, we always have a spare, I guess. But this game lifted up everything to our expectations. Now granted, I remember when I first played it, I was kind of confused by Roxas, the first 2 hours being Roxas' story, which isn't exactly my best part. And I'm not a huge fan of the Little Mermaid world, which is all just a rhythm game. And this is the start of the game, which I realized that the story got very complicated. And don't get me wrong, I like the story, but it is very confusing, and I kind of wish it was very simple, focusing all on Sora, instead of focusing on so many different people, organization members, people who may have died and still be alive, and all this stuff. I could go on for ages on how the story just isn't my cup of tea, but I mean, I still love Kingdom Hearts 2. It's a fantastic game. Everything that was great about the first game was brought over and was even improved some because the gameplay felt much quicker and much more diverse. The amount of worlds, like going to Lion King, Mulan, to even the old 1920s and 30s Mickey Mouse cartoons, it was just a blast, and it is a fun game, and it definitely lived up to my hype. It's not high regarded as one of my favorite games of the Kingdom Hearts games, probably like maybe the third or second best, I'm not sure. I haven't really played a whole lot of Kingdom Hearts games. I still need to try out Dream Drop Distance, but I'll probably play that with the HD game that's coming out soon. This next one, honestly, I don't remember why I was so hyped for. It was Kid Icarus Uprising, which is a fun game, but for some reason, I remember being hyped for this game, and I can't really remember why. I guess it was because it was the first game in the Kid Icarus series in a long while, and I actually remember that this was actually the very first game that I pre-ordered for. Like, no joke, this is the very first game that I actually went out and pre-ordered for. And it's weird too because at the time we didn't have a GameStop in the city we live in. Yeah, we're pretty far behind the times. So we had to go over to the next town over and pre-order a copy, and when it came out we had to drive over there and back. And yeah, this game was something. I loved the story and the writing of the game. I loved the characters, but the gameplay, I just couldn't get past the controls. It's just like, it was so awkward having to like shoot and use the stylus to like aim. It just made a very awkward gameplay experience. And granted, it's been a while since I played this game. I might replay it now that I think about it. But I remember, it's weird too because like I pre-ordered the game, but yet I don't remember why I was so hyped about. So like, it didn't really make me, it didn't like discourage me on my hype, but like, I can't remember. I still recommend it because, I mean, it is pretty fun, even though it's been a while since I played it. But yeah, it's one of those games where like, it's the first game I pre-ordered, but yeah, I don't remember why. It's one of those weird things. This next game is Epic Mickey, and I have to say, this is one of my all-time favorite games. I remember it was like a 2009 or something on a Game Informer. They had this really awesome cover that was actually like an artwork for it, showcasing all about Epic Mickey, and when I read it, it was like one of the best Game Informers I read ever, because seeing all the stuff they were doing in the game, it was bringing back Mickey to how he originally acted from the original cartoon shorts. It was also bringing back a lot of rejected and even some old ideals from the Disney archives and bringing it back in this whole gothic, cartoony, Tim Burton style-esque visual style. It was going to be a platformer, which is one of my favorite genres ever. And to top it all off, they will bring it back Oswald. I love Oswald, I can't get over it. I discovered Oswald back in 2008, shortly when I was just researching and found out about Oswald, and I do love the cartoon shorts. They're very interesting to watch, and it's nice to see how iWorks animation kept evolving from this up to the first Mickey shorts, and I just love Oswald's personality. And when I heard that he was going to be in Epic Mickey, I was majorly hyped, and I waited so impatiently. And when I got the game, it's one of my favorite games. Granted, the camera isn't that great, and the ending itself isn't really that different whether you choose good or bad, but still, it's so much fun, and I'm hoping to try to do like a little retrospective series on this. In fact, this game here, because, I mean, granted, I don't play a whole lot of PS3 or PS4 games, so I can't really get like a whole lot of collector's editions, but I remember that this game, I actually got the collector's set. I got the stickers for like the remote and my Nintendo Wii console, the awesome looking detailed nunchuck that was actually shaped like a paintbrush, and also I got this Mickey statue here, or figure, which looks awesome. I love this thing so much. And I also got this special neat bonus disc here, which is a disc that includes 8 behind the scenes featurettes, concept art gallery, 4 remastered cartoon shorts, including Lonesome Ghost, which is one of my favorite Mickey Mouse cartoons. And yeah, it was just really cool. And this game delivered all the hype even more. It's one of my favorite games. I have yet to play the 2 other Epic Mickey games. I mean, I have them, but I just haven't got the time to sit down and play them. Maybe one day I'll do a little retrospective series on this and give my thoughts on it. Now, to whoever has watched my last Del Marr Show episodes, which I did my top 10 Super Mario games, case in point, it was a terrible video at the time, and still kind of is, but I remember, like, during the first beginning, I got majorly hyped for New Super Mario Bros. 2. And yeah, I was indeed hyped for the game because I love New Super Mario Bros. On DS, and I absolutely had so much fun on New Super Mario Bros. Wii, so I was excited to see what the next entry was gonna be. Yeah, this game, it's kind of a disappointment, really. I'm not a huge fan of the new... I mean, I love Mario, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to the new Super Mario Bros., it's kind of mixed because they don't really do a whole lot of different stuff within them, like maybe get some new power-ups and some new advantages. And the goal of this game was mainly to collect 1 million coins, and granted, I have yet to even do that. I think I was like 300,000 coins before I got bored with it. And yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, it's still a solid Mario title where you can like still with good controls and good platforming, but it didn't really do too much to really differentiate itself from the other new Mario Bros. I mean, like, New Super Mario Bros. Was the return to the classic 2D style with the Mega Mushroom, and it was a lot of fun. New Mario Bros. Wii had the 4-player co-op multiplayer along with the Propeller Mushroom. New Super Mario Bros. U had the HD overhaul and looks beautiful. This one's just collecting coins, and it just didn't really do for me. And it's one of those Mario titles that I don't really play a whole lot, just because it wasn't that unique. And even though they tried some new stuff like the coins, and even bringing back the Super Leaf to turn Mario to his Tanuki self, it didn't really do a whole lot, and I was kind of disappointed with the title. It's still a good game, but I was probably overhyped for it and it kind of killed the excitement for me. The next one is a console, and let me just get out of the way. I know I talked about the Wii U back in my Wii U retrospective, but I mean, like, I love the console, except for the first year, basically. Like, how do I describe it? I was majorly excited for the console, and I asked my mom for, I was like, probably, it was like 2012, so I asked her for it for Christmas, and I got it, and yeah, it's like, I don't know, like, the games I got was New Super Mario Bros. U and Zombie U, which I got with some money I had when I was working with my dad at the time. And New Super Mario Bros. U was fun. It was short, but I had fun with it. Zombie U I was kind of disappointed with because, like, it was still fun, but then I got to the part where the game kept crashing on me, so I sold it off and got the Wii U Pro Controller instead. And yeah, after that, like, there wasn't really major titles. Like, there was a few indie games I picked it up, like Little Inferno, that was fun, but it was a very short game. Like, if you know what you're doing, you could probably play in like 2 hours or something. There was also some other indie games, but none that I didn't really play a whole lot. And yeah, like, looking back, being overly hyped for the system and just getting a very low drought in game releases, it was kind of disappointing, and I probably could have just waited another year before, because like in 2013 we had like Lego City Undercover, Pikmin 3, Wind Waker HD, and Super Mario 3D World, which came out 2013 but was still very long release dates. And yeah, that was probably one of the big things that killed the Wii U, was just because of the fact that games weren't being released as quick. And yeah, I probably should have just waited until the like mid 2013 or something when the games got released. That way it wasn't like collecting dust or anything like that. Granted, I already pre-ordered my Switch, which I know people say don't pre-order the console at launch, but I'm going to. But here's the thing, the difference from the Switch and the Wii U, there at least are games coming out in a very quickly race. Like, you got Breath of the Wild coming out on launch, then you got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe coming in April, Splatoon 2 I keep hearing coming out in August, ARMS maybe April probably, I'm not sure. And there's just a whole slew of games that are coming out on the first year, which at least makes people say going to get it for either launch or in the summer, which is great. But for Wii U, like, I could have just waited at least till like fall of 2013 to grab it instead of just having it collecting dust. So I was kind of disappointed with the first few months of the system, but I mean, I still love the console, and there were still tons of great games on it now, just not when it first came out. Now, the beginning of 2014, I did a sub-series called Mullen's Retro Bits, where I take a look at all the Mario Kart games leading up to Mario Kart 8, and I've said it so many times. I did a special ending to that series on this. I did a special Marr Show episode talking about the DLC. I mentioned it so many times, and I have to say, it gave me my hype. Like, everything I was hoping for the game for was expected. The controls are spot on. I love the visuals, the tracks, the items. It was a great game. The online playing is fun as well, and it definitely delivered my hype. I don't know how much I could talk about Mario Kart 8, and the sad thing is there's another version of Mario Kart 8 with Mario Kart Deluxe coming out, and chances are I'm gonna talk about that again. But yeah, so Mario Kart 8 definitely delivered my hype, and it's one of my favorite games. Not just my favorite Mario Kart game entry, but just one of my favorite games, so definitely check it out. And now we come to the last game that I was majorly hyped for, aside from Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Odyssey, Crash Bandicoot, and that and this. And that was Star Fox Zero. I did a video on it way back, I think it was like late April or something, that I talked about this game. And looking at it now, yeah, it's how can I explain? Like, I still like the game, it's still fun, but at the same time, it kind of, like, when I talked about the game back in April, that was actually the last time I actually played Star Fox Zero. Like, I unlocked all the different paths in the game, and I haven't really played it since. Like, I mean, it's not the controls, because I know a lot of people hate it, but I absolutely thought the controls were fun and innovative, and it took some time to get used to, but it was really fun and challenging. Also, I love the visuals, it was fun, I love all the characters, and I also love the fact that they brought back the augmenting mode from Star Fox 2 and incorporated in the game. So what was it that I didn't really care much for the game? Well, pretty much it's another Star Fox 64 like. I mean, we got Star Fox 64, then we have the 3DS version, and now we have a third entry, and like, I love the game, but at this point I'm wanting something new. That's why I'm most likely gonna try and find Assault. I mean, granted I haven't got the game yet, but I'm definitely want to try it just because at least it has a different story. And like, I mean, the whole game, I at least have a positive experience, but with the fact that it was mostly a Star Fox 64 reimagining, it definitely kind of left me a bitter taste, and it's actually making me to question whether or not Star Fox 64 was that good to begin with. I mean, it's good, but but to have it bring it back 2 other times, it's just, I don't know. And I haven't even played the game. I mean, Star Fox God, it's fun, it's different, but Zero, like, it's kind of making me leave an impact. And I was majorly hyped for the game. In fact, if you watched some of the previous Marr Show episodes before I got to Star Fox Zero, I kept leaving Easter eggs of me being hyped for it. It was like my #1 game pick of E3 2015. And yeah, it's just, I got too hyped for it. It's still a good game, but I think in terms of Star Fox games, this might be the most controversial one. I would rather want to see the game be different than just be cut and paste, like exactly. And yeah, I mean, I still recommend playing it, but if you're expecting a brand new Star Fox game with a different story and stuff, it'll still kind of feel the same way almost. I'm just gonna say. I still like the game, but left a pretty impact on me. And so those were the games and systems that I was majorly hyped for, but probably had some different opinions or positive experience with. Again, there's nothing wrong with your hype being overly excited or maybe kind of disappointed with them, because again, when we see something, we don't have full judgment of whether or not we're going to like it until we actually play it. And I mean, even though there was some experience that I was kind of disappointed with, I was still glad that my hype built up, because having that hype is fun, it's exciting, I have to say. And whether or not Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey will live up to my expectations, only time will tell. So let me know what you guys think. What games were you majorly hyped for that you've had a positive or negative experience? Thanks for watching and have a super mega chocolate thunder awesome day. Bye bye!